All right, let's dive in. Today, we're talking about one of the most important tools we have to fight climate change, actually putting a price on pollution. We're going to break down the two main ways governments are doing this, pitting a straightforward tax against a more dynamic market. So think about this for a second. For pretty much all of history, dumping carbon into the atmosphere has been, well, free. And that's created this huge disconnect, right? The price of the stuff we buy doesn't reflect the actual cost to the planet. So the big question for governments everywhere is, how do you finally send a bill to the polluters? And the answer really boils down to this one simple idea: carbon pricing. The logic here, as the World Bank puts it, is to make polluting more expensive. It's pretty straightforward. If you make something cost more, companies and people will find cheaper, cleaner ways to get the job done. It's all about creating that economic push. Okay, so how do you actually do that? Well, it really comes down to two main approaches, two contenders in the ring. You've got the simple, direct approach of a tax and the more flexible, complex world of a market. Let's see how they stack up. First up is the carbon tax. And honestly, it's about as simple as it sounds. The government just sets a price, let's say $40, for every single ton of carbon that gets emitted. For a business, the math is easy. You pollute this much, you pay that much. The key thing to remember here, the big takeaway, is that a tax gives you total certainty on the price of pollution. Now, the other option, an emissions trading system, or ETS, flips that logic completely on its head. This is what people call cap and trade. Instead of setting the price, the government sets a hard limit, a cap, on the total amount of pollution allowed. Then, it hands out a limited number of permits. If you're a company that can clean up your act on the cheap, you can sell your extra permits to someone else. With this system, you get total certainty on the quantity of pollution. And this table just lays it all out so clearly. A tax controls the price, an ETS controls the quantity, and that directly leads to what kind of certainty you get. With a tax, businesses know exactly what they'll pay. With an ETS, the government knows exactly how much emissions will be cut, but the price of permits can go up and down. It's the classic trade-off at the heart of this whole debate. So, we've got the two main tools in the toolbox. But are these just ideas floating around in textbooks? No way! In the real world, this has become a massive global trend. I mean, just look at this chart. It's pretty incredible. Go back to 2005, and only about 5% of the world's emissions had any kind of price on them. Fast forward to today, and that number has jumped all the way to 28%. You can just see it climbing, year after year. This isn't some niche policy anymore. It's going mainstream, fast. And this map gives you the bird's eye view of where this is happening. All that color spreading across the globe represents a country with a carbon tax or an ETS. You can see Europe is almost completely covered, and you've got big players in North America, Asia, and Latin America all getting on board. It's a visual of a huge global shift. And get this, the countries that are now pricing carbon, together they make up nearly 2/3 of the entire world's economy. Let that sink in for a second. The world's biggest economic engines are now building the cost of pollution directly into how they operate. That is a really, really big deal. Okay, so this brings us to the two questions that really matter. First, is any of this actually reducing emissions? And second, with all this money changing hands, where is it all going? Right, this is the billion-dollar question. It's one thing to have a neat economic theory, but does it actually work in the real world? Does putting a price on carbon actually lead to less of it in the atmosphere? For a while, the data was a little fuzzy, but now we're getting a much clearer picture. And the evidence is pointing to a pretty clear yes. Just look at these numbers. In France, companies covered by the big European ETS cut their emissions by up to 16%. In Sweden, which has had a carbon tax forever, their manufacturing emissions would have been 30% higher without it. The price signal is clearly working. So we know it works. Now, let's follow the money. All these taxes and permit sales are generating a huge amount of revenue for governments. We're not talking small change here. It's over $100 billion every single year. That's a game-changing amount of cash. So what happens to it all? Well, this chart gives us a great breakdown. That big green chunk at the top, that's 56%, is being plowed right back into environmental projects. Think things like building out renewable energy, green R&D, and helping communities adapt to climate change. And here are some awesome real-world examples of that. The EU is creating a whole fund just to help vulnerable families manage the energy transition. Brazil is planning to use the money to help its industries go green and support indigenous communities. And in Canada, they just send the money right back to people as a carbon rebate. Pretty cool.
So, we've seen these policies are spreading across the globe, they're actually working, and they're raising a ton of money for good things. Let's pull it all together and figure out, what's the final verdict?
Which brings us back to where we started. After all of this, what's the answer? A tax or a market? Which tool is actually better for the job?
And the answer is, it depends entirely on what you care about most. It all comes back to this one core trade-off. If you want businesses to have a stable, predictable cost so they can plan for the long term, a tax is your best bet. But if your number one goal is to guarantee you hit an exact emissions target, then an ETS with that hard cap is the way to go.
But here's where things get really interesting now. Policymakers are realizing they don't have to make this stark black and white choice. The tools themselves are evolving, getting more sophisticated, and even blending the best of both worlds. Take this newer idea, the rate-based ETS. Instead of a hard cap on total pollution, it sets an efficiency target, like how much you can emit for every ton of steel you make. If you're super efficient and beat that target, you get credits you can sell. If you're not, you have to buy them. It's a really clever way to reward efficiency without necessarily putting a brake on economic growth. And that really brings us to the ultimate point here, which this quote from the World Bank just nails. Whether you choose a tax, a market, or some kind of hybrid, the key to making it work is that the price signal is stable and predictable. That's what gives businesses the confidence they need to make those huge, long-term investments in a clean future.
So, in the end, the debate is evolving. It's not just price versus quantity anymore. The real work is in designing smart, fair, and effective systems that can speed up our transition to a low-carbon world for everybody.